Hello, I'm JB Illusion. Welcome back to the continuing adventures of Stealth the Elven Rigger in Shadowrun Dragonfall. Last episode was quite a doozy. We had to make our way through quite a bit of cybered up security to reach the secret lab underneath the Harfeld Manor, at least penetrate further than we did at the beginning of Shadowrun Dragonfall. Down here, it's definitely, that's a body bag. It's definitely looking like he's working on something slightly scary. I don't think he's doing... I mean, he does seem to be fitted out to maybe do some minor cyberware stuff, possibly. But I don't think that those mercenaries that we fought earlier or security personnel were cybered up here. Glory was talking about him planning something big. Something similar to what Humanus did, where they had some type of bioweapon that would turn all of the metahumans in a specific area, violent. So I wonder what that's him. The doctor. The old man behind the glass works feverishly at his console, glancing up at you when he can. A cigarette dangles from his mouth, its bluish smoke curling around his head. An overflowing ashtray sits on the lab table in front of him. The years have not been kind, but his features are instantly recognizable. Despite his age, he still has the strong chin and high cheekbones that you remember from Green Winter's DVD. This is Dr. Adrian Vauclair. As you approach, he stops. What he's doing, a look of intense irritation on his face. He clears his throat, and a harsh, rasping sound emerges from the loudspeaker next to the glass. So, you're the Shadowrunners that Aldrin warned me about. I assume you've left a trail of corpses in your wake. And you must be the good doctor. That's on you, Doc. No. That's right. He scowls. I don't know why you insist on interfering with my work, but I assure you, that's over now. He reaches down, flips a switch. You hear a loud thud, and a click behind you as the door locks shut. You'll find the blast door behind you is sealed, and that the laboratory you occupy is fully secured, an important precaution. We keep our test subjects in there, and they are far more dangerous than you. Test subjects? What is he doing? He takes a drag on his cigarette. I won't permit you to cause any further harm, Shadowrunner. You will remain trapped where you are, for your own good. Break the glass between you and Vauclair. Augur, why don't you tell the doc how we feel about being trapped? Why don't you come out of your little fishbowl? Augur? With pleasure. In one smooth motion, Augur raises her shotgun and unloads a spread of pellets into the glass. They clang into the window, ricocheting wildly in all directions. The surface remains unblemished. The window between us is made of dicoat-treated transplast. Do whatever you like. You'll find that it's quite unbreakable. Lovely. The bastard's right. Nothing we're carrying can even scratch dicoat. That glass is essentially sheathed in diamond. We need military-grade explosives to crack it. He frowns. We're stuck in here. Now, he fixes you with a level stare. I want to know why in the hell you so violently interjected yourself into my business. First, you break into my estate, which you didn't even know was mine, apparently. Then you spend what must have been a small fortune to track me down. You locate my AI, destroy it, then drive all the way out to the countryside, and finally, you shoot your way into my laboratory. He leans forward, hands on the table, his eyes narrowed into a piercing stare. So, I have to ask you, Shadowrunner, who are you? And why, in God's name, are you here? You first. Tell me what's going on here now. We came to find you, Vauclair, to help us stop Firstwing. Except the Firewing wasn't the one after us at all. It was you all along, wasn't it? Vauclair sighs, covers his face with a pale, nicotine-stained hand. with his pale nicotine-stained hands. To help you stop the first wing. That is ironic. But yes, you are correct. I am the one who has been hunting you. The one who sent Apex and Aldrin after you. You're going to pay for that, you bastard. Why attack the Keys, Vauclair? Why kill Paul? It was necessary to preserve the secrecy of my work, for the greater good of all. The greater good, I don't like that. I know I have wronged you, and for this I am sorry. He sighs, a long rattling sigh that quickly turns into a violent fit of coughing. Oh, don't tell me yet. He has cancer. The sound echoes over the loudspeaker. He collects himself, continues. I don't expect you to understand, nor do I have time to explain it to you. He straightens, glances back at the screen to his side, and nods curtly. Now, I must know. How did you learn that I was alive? How did you even know to look for me? Did someone send you? Your brother got us into this mess. He hired us to break into your state. We pieced the rest together from his journals. Vauclair stares, and the sudden movement of his arm, or Vauclair starts, and the sudden movement of his arm sends his overflowing ashtray flying from the table in a cloud of ash. My brother, Hermie? It's been years. Have you seen him? How is he? His brow furrows. He takes a step towards you, impatiently. Well? Oh, you mean you didn't know? You killed him too, just like Paul and Monica. That's a little cold. Hermie's a great man, and dead as a doornail. Somebody's pet AI friend fried his brain. But other than that, he's great. I'm sorry, Doc. He was digging too deeply into First Wing, so Apex killed him. He slumps into the chair next to him, his whole body shaking. I didn't... He's suddenly overcome by another fit of coughing. He steadies himself on one arm of the chair. Apex. He clutches his chest. I should have never trusted that thing. He closes his eyes, and a tear traces its way down the gaunt hollow of his cheek. Oh, Hermie, the things I've sacrificed. All for this, all for Panacea, all for tonight. Enough of the riddle, Doc. What's Panacea? All for what, Vauclair? Tell me what's going to happen tonight. You owe Hermie that much. Well, he doesn't essentially owe us. He owes Hermie. Enough of the riddles, Doc. What's going on? He looks up, dazed, his eyes unfocused. Panacea, it's my life's work. A permanent solution to an age-old problem. He's gonna try to do something to dragons. It will mean the end of the dragons, not just First Wing, all dragons. So, he is making a bioweapon, but it's specifically for dragons? How's he gonna get them? Because the dragons are spread all over the globe, multiple continents. US has a couple, Germany's got Vauclair, I think Ireland has Calder, and there's a couple in South America too. And there's some in the Middle East as well. And Asia. Explain yourself, Doctor. Let me get this straight. You had a bad experience with one dragon, so now you're going to wipe out an entire species. Vauclair fumbles in his pockets, produces a fresh cigarette. He lights it with shaking hands and breathes in deeply. The orange glow of the cigarette flares bright. When he exhales, the words spill out with the smoke. The Fire Wing burned and murdered and caused untold damage in her bestial rage. Until the Dragonfall, until I stopped her. But the destruction was merely a symptom of a greater cancer. Oh, good Lord. First Wing wrought destruction with fire and claw. The dragons of today, Vauclair, Dunkelson, Kildare, they kill and conquer and with subtler tools, deception, manipulation, corruption. He spits with disgust. They use us as pawns, playing pieces, puppets, in their millennia-long machinations. Oh yes, dragons are a cancer. One that will conquer or worse, destroy all of humanity. If we do not stop, one that metastasized when the world awakened. An ironic metaphor, since it was the failing of my own body that allowed me to see it. Let me guess, you have cancer. He is racked again by violent coughing, allows it to subside, takes another long drag on his cigarette, the ash creeping closer and closer towards his mouth. I have leukemia, cancer of the blood. No doubt brought on by the radiation of the socks. He went to the socks? So the socks region, I think if I remember from Paul Amzel's studies or his notes, was a very, very large radiated area, I believe, roughly around the Russia-Chernobyl area. And that's where the Firewing wound up crashing. So he went into the socks to make sure he finished the job? It was when I heard my doctor's diagnosis that I realized what I had to do. What my life's work would be in the time I had left. I'm sorry, Hermie. I'm sorry you won't be able to see for yourself. I'm sorry I failed you. Vauclair turns his attention back to the computer. Stubbing out his cigarette, he grabs a fresh one from the pack and lights it. Tonight, I will release my Panacea to the world, and how absurd that the instrument of dragonkind's destruction. He presses a button on the terminal, and a large observation window at the far end of the room rises slowly open. Will be carried by Firstwing herself. He caught a dragon. Like, he actually friggin' caught a dragon. What? And she's on life support, I think? She's got a lot of wires and stuff hooked up to her. Through the glass, you see the prostrate form of a dragon far below. An enormous set of shackles binds it, and a maze of tubes snake into its body. The tubes connect to a cruel-looking apparatus that has been mounted on the wall. Son of a bitch, look at that. He found her alive in the socks after all. Tonight, the Firewing will fly again. Infected by Panacea, she will slowly be destroyed from within. But before that happens, she will provide the catalyst for global transmission of the virus. I don't like the sound of that, Chief. Neither do I. As if spurred on by the sight of the dragon below, he begins typing furiously at his terminal. Firstwing's fire will carry the agent in its dormant state. Any metahuman exposed will become carriers. Will spread the disease to other dragons. The carriers will be infected with Panacea as well, but it will not harm them. To non-dragons, it is a nuisance, nothing more. That's kind of ingenious. So he has somehow managed to make a virus that will harm dragons, but not metahumans. I wonder what that will do to, other awakened creatures. Because there's hellhounds, there's tons of awakened creatures within the sixth world of Shadowrun. But if what he's saying is true, it would take out the dragons in a couple of years. All dragons have not all dragons have human interaction, but enough to pass along the virus to pretty much everybody. When a critical mass of carriers is achieved, my Panacea will become unstoppable. It will spread across the globe in a relentless tide. However, if it does not reach the critical mass, it will frizzle, die out, become inert. Lovely. So there is a slight contingency plan. It's not going to go nuts, but this critical mass thing is kind of scaring me. Hence, therefore, the need for a ground zero, a flashpoint for a mass infection event. He looks up to the ceiling, mumbling to himself. I'm sorry, Hermie. I know how you love the flux state, but doesn't matter now. It must be Berlin. So he's going to send the Firewing to Berlin? Hang on for a second. You're going to stick the Firewing on Berlin? He continues his work, filled with a feverish energy. To save the world, yes. For Panacea to work, Berlin must burn. A sacrifice, one for the greater good. Wow. Firstwing will breathe her infected fire upon Berlin. Thousands will die, and through that destruction, the virus will take to the air. A critical mass of Berlin's metahuman population will be exposed, but no one will even think to quarantine the city until it's too late. The Flux State lacks any centralized authority. Corporations will evacuate their own. Thousands will flee the infected city. Will flee the city infected. So that's actually brilliant, because the Flux State, as he said, has no centralized authority. So the minute it happens, all the corporations are going to pull their assets, namely Lufwir, who has agents, I'm sure, in the Flux State. He's basically running Germany, but Berlin is out of his claws? Yes, out of his claws. So once he knows that his people are in danger, he'll pull them out, and they will immediately go back to headquarters carrying this virus. He'll catch it at some point in time through interaction or day-to-day running of his business, and then Lufwir will be done. Those who live in America, or at least have mainly American companies like Ares, might be brought back. And then Dunkelzahn and whatever other... There's a couple dragons in America will, of course, get infected. As the technology, as we know, is already out here because we kind of blew up one of their buildings. And that'll take out whoever's in South America. And then... I don't know what Japan Corps are running out here, but the bottom line is, with enough movement of workers and just people, yeah, it'll spread all across the globe and kill every single dragon. He mutters, his voice growing more detached. Oh yes, Hermé. Berlin is the perfect flashpoint. It wasn't supposed to happen tonight, but this little intervention of yours leaves us no choice, so let us see. He squints at a screen. Tonight's wind patterns dictate the ground zero of Tempelhof. Or the ground zero will be Tempelhof. Highly populated, the virus will spread quickly enough from there. That's only a few kilometers from the Keys. The Keys? My favorite cafe's in the Keys. Look, you're crazy. And we're probably all going to die, but we are not letting you get away with this. Nonsense. You are sealed tight in the laboratory, impotent to stop me. The old man eyes the cigarette butt in his hand, fishes out another from the pack and lights it with the first. Then he returns to his console, reaching to the side for a microphone. He mutters something into the receiver. You can just barely make out the sound of the name Audrin. When he turns to address you again, his voice is level. The shaking in his hand seems to have subsided. Security will be here, and they will take care of you. Do not worry. You will not be harmed. The sacrifice that I'm making tonight is a necessary evil. It cannot be helped. But so long as you remain confined, I see no reason to kill you. 2. You don't burn a city and call it a sacrifice. You call it what it is, mass murder. How are you going to get the first wing to go along with this plan of yours? Good question. I'm assuming it has something to do with all those wires. Vauclair continues his work. Oh, that's simple enough. He gestures to his left. She has no choice? Wait. What? The gaunt woman in the containment cell stands rigidly, her face pressed against the glass, her haunted yellow eyes tracking your every move. She appears frightened, disoriented, lost. Her mouth moves silently, her voice muted by the glass cage. So the stories Green Winters found were true. Firstwing's astral form was separated from her body when she fell? You trapped her somehow? Yes, but that came later. In 2012, we took down Firstwing with an experimental weapon. This device, suffice it to say, I couldn't fully predict how it would affect her. In 2036, I led a team into the Sox. I had to know what really happened to the creature that I had slain. We found her alive, in a way. The dragon's astral form, her spirit, you might say, had been ripped from her body by the weapon. It was trapped inside a young woman living in the Sox. A mob of glowpunks revered her, treated her like a goddess. I transported the young woman and the dragon's body here, where I could study them. You mean that she's been in that cell for almost 20 years? The old man nods absently. No choice. The creature separated from its astral form cannot live more than a few hours before both die. It was the high intensity radiation of the Sox, combined with the magical creature inside her, that allowed the woman to live for as long as she has now. So, he's kept her in there for... Has he fed her? Or because she's technically a dragon, she's somehow able to just, I guess, nourish herself? Dude. So, Vauclair seems almost eager to explain. The environment within her containment chamber mirrors that of the Sox. It has allowed us to keep First Wing alive for these years, while her bestial shell remains chained up below. Now as to her physical form. It will be simple as well. We've drilled a series of electrical charges into her skull. When we release the Firewing's body, empty of her astral self, we will trigger all of the vicious instincts and primal urges left in her reptilian brain. She will unleash her fire when we command it. That's horrific, even for a mass-murdering dragon. I'd go insane if I was trapped like that for 20 years. He shakes his head. Misplaced empathy. That beast blazed a path of fiery destruction across Germany. But no matter. I have more important things to do, to debate the morality of this with you. First Wing must fly. Berlin must be sacrificed. And it must be tonight. Now, where is that damned Audrin? You don't burn a city and call it sacrifice. You call it what it is, mass murder. You're willing to do the exact same thing that the Firewing did to kill off her species. Like she tried to kill off your species, Dr. Vauclair. Oh, man. I don't like what you're planning, Vauclair. But if it kills the dragons, maybe it's worth it. Vauclair stiffens, turning to face you. Anger washes across his face. What? Was it mass murder when America dropped the atomic bomb on Japan? The myopic would say yes, just as you are now. But they did it for a cause, to shorten the agony of war, to save the lives of thousands upon thousands of soldiers. The old man is trembling now. I do the same, for the good of the world. You know, that America was pretty divided on the morality of that act, right? Some even considered it a crime against humanity. Oh, sure, except that we're not at war with dragons. No, he'll say we are. You just can't see it. I'm not buying it, Doc. Ending a war and exterminating an entire intelligent species are two very different things. Don't be so self-righteous. We drive new species to extinction every single year on this planet. Dragons, at least, we have cause to destroy. Humanity was born to reproduce, to multiply, but dragons were born to acquire, to accumulate, to hoard. Both strive to bend the world to their will. Humanity has conquered the air, land, and sea through sheer numbers. Dragons, however, employ different means altogether. Throughout history, they have allowed us to do the heavy lifting, while they pull the strings. There are some humans who, you could argue, do that on a day-to-day basis. There are 7 great dragons in the world today. 7 ancient worms, millennia-old, slowly dividing the planet into 17 pillars of gold to nest upon in front of our eyes. I can't really argue that, because Lufwir is essentially the only power player. I wouldn't say he's the only power player in Germany, but he's definitely running stuff. Once upon a time, they burned castles to steal the treasures we collected, laid waste to entire armies. But here in the Sixth World, it is no longer about tooth and claw and fiery breath. The old man's voice seethes with hatred. Now, it's public relations, marketing, mergers, and acquisitions. You see it every day. Dragons on the Tritio. In the boardrooms, they gather influence, wealth, power. Continually hoarding, until one of them sits atop it all. What I find really interesting is that at the start of all this, Monica Schaefer was watching Worm Talk, which is Dunkelzahn's TV show. Perhaps not in this cycle of the world, perhaps not the next, but one day, one worm will stand alone, triumphant, with all of humanity as its cattle, with all the world as its prize, and that's really intriguing. I love the storytelling in this game, because they brought it back full circle. He trembles, his voice dropping into a whisper. That I will not allow. What if the virus mutates into a strain that can kill us too? An intelligent question from a Shadowrunner. Surprising. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to explain it to you in detail, and since you are locked in the laboratory with no chance of escape, I don't really need to. But understand this, I am an expert in my field. That is not an ideal boast. It is a certifiable fact, and I have worked with nearly unlimited resources for over 40 years focused on one goal. 42 years of isolation, of secrecy, dead to the world, dead to my brother. All for this, my life's mission. It will work. He looks down. I promise you, Herme, it will work. We're not biotech. Your Panacea is built on the back of an RNA virus, and yet you aren't worried about the possibility of mutation? Because I said so, Defense. Very professional of you, Doctor. The stakes here are a little too high for me to just take you on that faith. That is your problem, not mine. Believe what you want. My Panacea will change the world. In the end, you will thank me. Plan of yours killed your brother. Was it really worth it? Even if you succeeded, this eliminating dragons would create an enormous power vacuum. Your plan may have problems, but you're right. It'll create a power vacuum. He laughs. A pointless argument. Any power vacuum created through Dragonkind's termination will be filled by meta-humanity. Any backlash will right itself over time. I am playing the long game, Shadowrunner. One that has played out over hundreds of years. When you think on the scale, everything seems possible. Humanity will endure, and the dragons will perish. The plan of yours killed your brother. But really worth it? You plan may have problems. Was it really worth it? Vauclair's fist slams on the table, sending his cigarette flying in a cascade of sparks and ash. No, nothing can make that right. Nothing. He runs a hand through his unkempt hair, blinking through a haze of sudden tears. Damn it, Herbie. Why couldn't you just let me go? You don't have to add it to his loss, Doctor. Doesn't need to continue. Listen to reason, Vauclair. Would Hermie want you to do this? Oh, did your brother? Oh, that's rude. You don't have to add to his loss, Doctor. This doesn't need to continue. He covers his eyes. No, I'm afraid it does. I love my brother. More than you can know, but... He wipes away the tears, looks you in the eye. This changes nothing. My brother's death only strengthens my resolve. Were I to stop now, his loss would be in vain. He would want me to continue. Unless he was as crazy as you are, I doubt that. Maybe he would. But that doesn't make it right. A dry chuckle turns into a rasping cough. I'll take your opinions on what is right with a grain of salt, Shadowrunner. When viewed through the lens of history, my Panacea will be remembered as the key to our species' salvation. I won't live to see it, but it will happen, regardless of your beliefs to the contrary. Actually, I've just been messing with you, Doc. I think your plan makes sense. You should do it. I've heard enough. You're nuts. Dietrich's voice is low and quiet. There has to be a better way, Vauclair. There has to be. Vauclair stops, bows his head, and closes his eyes. I'm a man of science, Shadowrunner. A better path may exist, but I do not know what it is. I wish that I didn't have to sacrifice so many. I wish that Hermie hadn't had to die. But the solution is here now in my hands, and I choose to take it. Through the speakers, you can hear the sound of heavy footsteps approaching. Ah, no. Aldrin. Oh, Aldrin. Good, it's about time you showed up. Sorry, Doctor. We were waking up the dragon's physical form. It required some care. But the procedure is ready to begin now. You should see to it. The orc sneers at you from behind the glass, his scarred features writhing in the dancing light of Vauclair's monitor. Looks like you trapped the thugs who were attacking the manor. Yes, there won't be a problem there will be a problem no longer. But with Apex gone, our security is still compromised. We'd best still hurry. Oh, and Aldrin, don't forget to clean the containment unit afterwards. The virus will kill Firstwing, along with the rest, and when it does, her astral form will perish as well, human host or not. We're going to stop you, Vauclair. We'll find a way. Iger's lips curl into a snarl, and we'll make it painful. Aldrin twists suddenly towards the glass. Quiet. Everything's ready in the chamber, Doctor. I think you should start the procedure yourself. Vauclair brings his cigarette to his mouth and inhales sharply, holding it for a long moment. Yes, my friend. He looks to the ceiling. It is time, Hermie. Let's do some good. Vauclair stubs out the last cigarette with a heavy sigh. I will begin the infusion process. Aldrin, please make sure our guests here are securely locked away before you come down. I'm sorry, Stealth. Sorry for your friend Paul Amsel. Sorry for Frau Schaefer. Sorry for the keys. Sorry for Berlin. I wish there were another way. Like hell you do. I think you get off on this. You're not the same man who once saved Germany from the firewing. Elaborate plan to destroy an entire species, a massive underground fortress with an army of mercenaries. You sound just like a dragon, Doc. Fire flashes in Vauclair's eyes. His back straightens. And what do you presume to know of dragons? I've spent my entire life studying them. Then you should see my point. I know that the firing did will pale in comparison to what you're about to do. Look at yourself. You're nothing more than the other side of the same coin. Those in power manipulating those who aren't. Perhaps I am. But, for once, I am a man. I am finite. Oh, he may create a dynasty that will stand for time, but his dust will not reap its benefit. Vauclair's voice is steady now. For a moment his age, lines, and fatigue fall away. Dragons are immortal. Time means little to them. What they will, and no power can truly stop them unless it is death itself. War, plague, famine, natural disaster, setback. Merely setbacks, avarice eternal. No, Shadowrunner, I am not one of them, no more than you are. Vauclair looks down for a long moment, then turns and exits the room. Man, we gotta get out of here and stop him. Well, there is a significant worry of mutation, it seems, but still. Aldrin turns to stare at you through the glass, his lips cut into an insolent smile. Hi again, long time no see. How's Amsel doing? The hole in his brain pan heal up okay? Iger's voice is low and dangerous. If I were you, I would run, little orc. When we catch up to you, your armor won't save you. The burned orc knocks on the heavy transplast window separating you. Afraid that's not going to happen. The slab's locked down tight. Like the doc said, the test subjects that they keep in here don't play well with others. Dangerous, nasty things. And they don't smell great either. But you'll see for yourself in a second. Been meaning to talk to you about that. You could use some deodorant yourself, big guy. Test subjects? Yep, the doctor didn't want to stress the dragon system too badly. So we collected some research specimens with simple, lure genetic expressions, you'll see. He checks the monitor. Listen, I gotta go. Have fun with the test subjects while I'm gone. He grins and flips a switch on the console. You hear the hiss of doors sliding open nearby. If you're still alive when I get back, I'll put a bullet in you or something. What could possibly have a simpler genetic makeup than a dragon but still be within the same family? Crud, I don't like that. Is that a... What is this? It's a fire drake. Crap. Okay. Thank you all for watching. Please tune into the next thrilling installment of Stealth the Elven Rigger in Shadowrun Dragonfall, where we face off against the fire drake and hopefully come to the aid of the Firewing herself, or at least figure out some way to stop him. Maybe the Firewing will be the key, maybe not. Thank you all for watching. Please be excellent to each other, and have a nice day. And please join me for the next thrilling installment of Stealth the Elven Rigger in Shadowrun Dragonfall.